Commissioner Long, mic, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to bring this emergency meeting of Forward Pinellas to order, please. We have 1 hour. We've debated this issue 5 times already. We have new members that aren't fully up to speed, and what we need today is real leadership because, as most of you know, we are moving towards trying to implement a regional MPO for the sake of our region. And so leadership today is really important and it's critical. And I would like to remind you that the best decisions are made when it is driven by data. And after that, I'd like Whit to do a preamble.
Do you want to do any introductions today?
Maybe we should, because let's just do that for the sake of everyone's education. Commissioner Floyd, do you want to start down there, please?
Yep, my name is Councilmember Floyd. I'm from St. Petersburg, District 8. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Vice Mayor Reed from the City of Pinellas Park.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brian Scott, Pinellas County Commissioner, District 2.
Julie Ward Bajolski, Mayor of the Great City of Dunedin.
I'm Whit Blanton. I'm the Executive Director.
Dave Albritton, Councilman from Clearwater.
Dave Eggers, Pinellas County Commissioner.
David Will, Mayor, Reddington Beach.
Not a David. I just noticed that. Gina Driscoll, St. Petersburg City Council and representing PSTA.
Jared Buckman, City Council, City of Oldsmar, representing Oldsmar, Safety Harbor, and Tarpon Springs.
Thank you. And I am Commissioner Janet Long, Chair of Forward Pinellas this year, and we have joining us via Zoom our member from Seminole, Chris Burke. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So I do believe we are in order to agree with the vote that it's okay for us to have Chris join us via Zoom.
Madam Chair, prior to taking that vote, I have some extenuating circumstances text that I need to read into the record, if that's okay.
I'm sorry?
I need to read into the record the extenuating circumstances before you take the vote.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I did not know that you had that to do. Go ahead, please.
Florida law requires a quorum of the board to be physically present to conduct business and generally requires all members, in addition to the quorum, be physically present to participate as well. However, the law provides an exception for some members to participate by non-physical means if a quorum is physically present and the extraordinary circumstances warrant an individual board member's attendance electronically as determined by the legislative discretion of the board. In anticipation of such a finding, we have a board member requesting to participate virtually today. Said member is linked electronically via Zoom and prepared to receive the same information as the members that are physically present and will be able to effectively communicate with all members of the board and members of the public. With that, I recommend the board consider whether extraordinary circumstances exist that warrant the virtual participation of Councilor Chris Burke due to the extenuating circumstances as supported by the following. The Forward Pinellas Board called for a special meeting, the time-sensitive nature of the apportionment plan needing to be adopted, the law requiring that the apportionment plan be approved by 75% of the voting membership of the board equal to 10 votes, and that Councilor Burke's prior plans to be out of state at this time was when the board would not have otherwise been meeting. Those extenuating circumstances being outlined, I'll give it back to you, Madam Chair, to call for a vote from the board. A motion and a second.
Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, move with the extenuating circumstances that were detailed to allow Chris Burke to attend virtually and vote at this
And do
meeting.
we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and Commissioner Albritton from Clearwater. Okay, you're in with us, Chris.
I need a full vote, Madam Chair.
Oh, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So I think you heard my remarks when we first came to order. Did you, Chris? Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Yeah, I'd like to just echo Commissioner Long's point. We have had 5 meetings to discuss the apportionment plan. We've had 4 meetings where we've taken various votes. And we came pretty close at the last meeting. We have scheduled this meeting for just about an hour. It could go longer. It's up to the board how long you want to go, but we are not providing lunch. So I would just encourage us to try to efficiently come to a decision today, or maybe we default to the status quo, which is the 13-member board that we've had. It's not fundamentally broken in our view. It's worked well. Staff has identified some tweaks and some adjustments that we presented to you and made a recommendation for. At the last meeting, there was a presentation to move to a larger board, a 19-member board, and I was pretty clear at the last meeting that we are comfortable with that, going from a 13 to a 19, but we did not have the number of votes. We didn't get a 75% amount of the board composition, and it has to be the full board, not just those who are in attendance. And so I would encourage the board to think hard about that proposition of go big or go home, because if we introduce a lot of other new resolutions today, it may be very difficult to come to consensus. And one concern I do have is that if we depart too radically from ideas that have been presented and vetted and discussed in public forum, in the last 5 meetings that we've had, there are other cities that aren't necessarily party to this conversation that have served on this board in the past that I feel would be disturbed to have changes made to their potential tenure. So we just need to kind of keep that in mind as we consider the action on apportionment today. And Commissioner Long is correct. We are in a conversation about a regional MPO. That discussion is ongoing. I'm hopeful that by the end of the year, we will have a resolution to move forward with a regional MPO and a report that's ready to go to the governor and legislature. But the vote on the composition of that board still may be a couple of years out. And if anybody has any questions for me before we get started, I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Long.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we neglected to take citizens to be heard, and it is a public meeting, and we do have a citizen wishing to be heard today, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I will take that up in just one moment. I am aware, so, okay. We're just trying to set the ground rules so that we can move forward. Pete, I know you're up there listening carefully. Can you pull up, please, the last motion that we had from Commissioner Eggers? Does he have that with? That we can. It's in the PowerPoint. Okay. Chelsea will get that in just a moment. So I'm going to ask for the citizens who want to be heard to speak, and then you tell me when you're ready to bring that up. I think it would be important to refresh everybody's mind, because that seems to be the model that most of us were willing to accept, and maybe that's a good place to start. So with that said, do you want to, who is the gentleman that wants to be heard? Do we have a card?
David Ballard Geddes Jr.
Oh, of course. David, are you speaking today on the issue? Remember, we had that problem last time.
I'm speaking again on the roundabout as I had spoke on the roundabout at the commission meeting at Open Forum Citizens to be heard. Relatively speaking.
You'll have 2 minutes, David, to discuss your point. This is an important meeting. It's an emergency meeting, and we've got to get to the issues that we're going to be addressing today. You're wasting your time.
Madam Chair, this board just spent 5 minutes permitting some Hollywood Square political attendance of this meeting with some formulation of some quantum political establishment in where you don't have to be physically present to be at this meeting to speak. Yet when I'm here physically at this meeting to speak, routinely you deny me my time. I will speak for 3 minutes concerning this roundabout issue at the next Forward Pinellas meeting, and again, you have disrupted my time.
Commissioner Eggers.
Listen, I think, hey, Dave, come up here and, in my opinion, let's give him his time. Let's let him have his time. It is about transportation. It is about roads, and then we can move on. It's not worth having any other stuff going on.
Take your time. You 3 minutes.
David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live at Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. I'd like to talk about the roundabout in Palm Harbor on alternate 19 as being an unnecessary impediment that obstructs emergency vehicles. But before we get to the roundabout, I'd like to talk about the water pipes in Palm Harbor. The water pipes in Palm Harbor are upwards of 80 years old and are in need of being replaced decades ago, to include the sewer system that has fallen into desperate disrepair and purposeful neglect. Let's talk about the roundabout as aiding a private political insurrection abetted in the center of a major transportation corridor. Before we start talking about the objective of the roundabout, we need to talk about the fact that we need overpasses on US 19 25 years ago, clear through Weeki Wachee. Where is the money for critical infrastructure needed for water and to ease the traffic jam on US 19? Is our government taxing the civilian population to support unwarranted public interests, such as the roundabout, using the public purse for personal gains, selfish means, and hidden objectives in its methodical and systematic development practices, establishing foundations to support private political fortifications and imposts, insurrections of such to be used for despotic private political factions in government, dispositioning public monies to finance personal aggrandizements such as the roundabout, while allowing our vital infrastructure to fall into a state of disrepair, misappropriating our tax money while aiding and abetting private political insurrections, tyrannical in nature, pretentiously imposing fortifications as based on Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the U.S. Constitution, arbitrarily designing personal districts 10 miles square, giving rise to despotic water jurisdictions under the 14th Amendment, sodomizing my religion of Christianity in its capture as based on the reclaimed water variance application. Such roundabouts and such districts not exceeding 10 miles square are not only recognized as an act of rebellion, but are seen as an act of actual invasion. Thank you.
He just ended. Anyone else, Tina?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Are we in a posture now to bring up the motion by Commissioner Eggers? Good morning, Chelsea.
All right, so we just have a couple slides today just to bring those of you up to speed that weren't able to be with us last month and to just set the context. So just as the reminder, we're in the process of developing our apportionment plan. It has to be based on population ratio and approved by 3/4 of the board members, not just those present. So that means that we need a total of 10 board members voting to approve any apportionment plan that we then submit to the governor for final approval. 20% of the seats that are apportioned must be for Board of County Commissioner members. And PSTA must have a seat. There is an option for PSTA to not have a seat, but then we would need 33% of the board voting membership to be BCC members. So that's just a little bit of background. This is the existing board structure up here on your screen. We currently have 13 board members representing all of the jurisdictions throughout Pinellas County, with some shared seats among some of the smaller communities. This was the staff recommendation that we presented at the last meeting and also at a meeting a couple of months ago that would bring the total board members up to 15 and more evenly distributing the percentage or the number of board seats to more closely align with the percentage of the population that each of the jurisdictions has. Some other alternatives that were discussed was one that adds a seat for the city of Clearwater and an additional seat for the Board of County Commissioners. And this was done because if a seat was added for the city of Clearwater and a seat was added for the city of St. Petersburg, the BCC would have dropped below that 20% threshold, so we increased it. There was another alternative presented that mirrored the last one, but then also added a seat for the city of Tarpon Springs, bringing the total board membership up to 18. And then this was an alternative that was brought up by Commissioner Eggers at the meeting last month and discussed pretty comprehensively by the board that brought it up to 19. And these are the main differences. The BCC in this scenario would have 4 seats. The city of St. Petersburg would also have 4 seats, giving them both just over 20% of the vote that more closely aligns with their percent of population. This would give the city of Tarpon Springs their own seat. And then Oldsmar and Safety Harbor would remain connected, and then the inland communities would also be split, and then the additional seat for PSTA, or the one sole seat for PSTA, bringing it to 19.
And the second seat for Clearwater.
I'm sorry, yes, and a second seat for Clearwater. My apologies. And then the discussion at last month's meeting really focused around how the percentages for the percent of population compared to the percent of the vote were much more evenly distributed in this alternative, and that's really where the conversation went last month. So really, that's just some background on where we are with those 2 alternatives. They were also included in your packet. I do have a spreadsheet ready to go today to start moving numbers, if that is the pleasure of the board. But we really are seeking that final approval by the board today by 75% of the vote. Unfortunately, this slide is a little bit outdated. Previously, we did believe that we needed resolutions of support from all of the local governments before we transmit this to the governor for approval. We have since learned that that is not the case. We do not need those resolutions. We really just need that support from the board in order to move it forward. We need to transmit this to the governor within the next couple of months so that it can be approved, and then we can work on seating the board for the next year. And with that, I'll go right back to this alternative that Commissioner Long wanted us to have up on the screen, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
David, do you want to speak to it?
Yeah, I will. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and for me, it's pretty straightforward and simple. One, it's most reflective of the population. That's certainly our charge as an MPO. The number that St. Pete and the county represent is somewhere between 38 and 42%, depending on the alternative that's being considered. This alternative has that at about 42% for the St. Pete and the county combined. But I think most importantly, we're heading into a time when regional MPO is going to be extremely important part of this area. The state has asked that we go to a regional MPO. Pasco County, Pinellas County, and now Hillsborough County seems to be getting on board to have that reflective representation that basically has the opportunity to have those discussions on roadways that don't just stop at the county lines and give opportunities for a lot more fundraising, if you will, or bringing funds back to this area for all of us. So I really do think that having a larger board here from Tarpon Springs to St. Petersburg, the beaches and in between, there'll be a lot more voices here at our local MPO that will be used carefully by the ones that are actually representing us on this regional board. So I think the more folks that we have here, the better. And on top of that, as I said, it reflects the population of the county. It's pretty straightforward, I think, and simple. That's my motion for today.
Okay. Do we want to start? Yes, Commissioner Britton.
I apologize for not being here at the last meeting. I had knee surgery that day, but I have been keeping up with this, and I like Commissioner Eggers' spread. I think it's more equitable to everything, and I was never for an even number of board members, so this takes care of that as well. So if he's making the motion, I'll do the second on that.
Okay. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This one that's at our desk today, is this a new option that's?
Yes, that is something that I submitted and
Oh, okay, got it.
like to
Okay.
discuss.
All right, did we want to have any discussion on that or no? I don't, just.
Well, we're on this motion at the moment, so, and if you want to discuss that one.
Well, I just, it looked reasonable to me. I just wasn't sure if where this came from.
That's all. Because it wasn't presented in any of the other options, so this is something new.
Because
that
it's,
came together.
again,
Okay.
another new plan.
Okay.
I discussed that at the last meeting. I don't think it was understood, so I put it in this format so we could look at it side by side. When you look at Dave's plan with 19, the plan that I submitted stays at 15, but is the same as Dave's plan, with Tarpon Springs being on the board. So it doesn't change anything there, it just changes the number from 19 to 15.
Okay, Commissioner Bujalski, and then Commissioner Mohammed, and then Gina, did you have a comment?
Well, I did. I just wanted to say.
Hold on.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I think we got a lot of smart people around all the tables here, and I think we can probably all come up with our own unique plan. And Mayor Dave, I appreciate. Not you, Mayor. You're Commissioner now. Mayor Dave. I always call him Mayor Dave. I so appreciate you submitting another alternative. I just want to say for me, I think it's just really important for us to not walk away from what staff's trying to accomplish. And it's our job to hire the professionals, which we've done. And it's also our job to listen to what's going on out in the world and what our constituents and our cities are our constituents, what they want. I think we've kind of come to that conclusion with the 19 board seat. No offense, Mayor Dave, but what you're doing is you're taking a seat away from St. Pete, and they're extremely underrepresented now from a percentage perspective.
This plan wouldn't be taking away a seat from St. Pete. The current, the top left is our current structure.
No, I understand you're not taking it away, but you're not giving them one. And that was kind of the point of the census with the reapportionment,
Right.
was to get everybody a little closer to what their percentage should be. There is no perfect
You understand.
percentage, so for me, I can't support it because of that.
In 2010, St. Pete had a 26.7% of the population. In 2020, it's 26.9.
No, I don't disagree with you. I know I know that hasn't changed, but what I'm trying to say is, if we're not going to then bring St. Petersburg or Clearwater, for that matter, closer to their percentages, because those are the two cities that are off the most, then to me, we shouldn't add any seats at all, and we should just leave it the way it is. Because you're adding a new seat when we're not addressing the disparity with the existing cities that are involved on this. That's just my opinion. I do appreciate so much you bringing something forward. So, I mean, listen, like I said, we're all a lot of smart people. But for me, I think this 19 seat, is it perfect? No. But it's an odd number. It addresses the concern of Tarpon, and it addresses more closely the percentages in our top largest cities and county. I don't know how it could get any more perfect at this point. And so I'm certainly willing to support that. I'm not making any motions. I'm just responding to what you gave us, and I think others have something to say as well.
Commissioner Mohammed.
I think that the 4 and 4.
Hold on. He has the floor. You'll be next.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, yes, looking at the proposal by Mayor Will, I too appreciate, you actually taking time to scheme it out so we can look at it side by side. My observation is seeing the variances and the difference between the percentage of population and the percentage of vote. There's a huge gap in St. Pete, almost half in Clearwater, and then some of the other areas would be overrepresented in the percentage of vote on the board.
Which one are you looking at?
So I'm looking at this chart here.
Yes.
And when we look at the percentage of vote for St. Pete, is 13.3.
Correct.
But the percentage of population is 26.
Well, when you add more, when more people are taking from the pie, the slices get smaller.
Right, and I kind of have a good idea about how math works a little bit, and so, and how when you move and you play with percentages, you get, these type of outcomes, and that's why I also appreciate the work that the staff did, and I will be voting in favor of the proposal that was made by Commissioner Eggers, because it's closer in percentage of population, which is the charge that we have, is to really have like representative percentage of vote versus, or in addition to percentage of population. And what is proposed with the 19 members is closer to that. And I also support the addition of Tarpon seat as well. So again, while I appreciate the effort and being able to see it side by side, I won't be supporting this, but I will be voting in favor of the proposal that was made by Commissioner Eggers, which is alternative 3 plus 4, St. Pete. Is that, so new alternative 3 plus 4, St. Pete? And that's it, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Will?
Oh, just wanted to, the bottom left is the original staff recommendation. So that was 15 members. What I've submitted, the only change was to keep St. Petersburg at where it is now, and then to add Tarpon. So the percentages for most everybody stay the same. The Commissioner Eggers plan, I just think 19 people is too many, and 4 for the commission, 4 for St. Petersburg. I just think that's leaning too heavy in that direction. So we still have the same representation here in the one that I submitted, but we have 15 people.
Commissioner Driscoll?
Thank you. Regarding that particular offering, I will agree with Councilmember Mohammed that this actually creates even more underrepresentation for St. Petersburg than others. What I've been really trying to look at is take away all the names of cities and really focus on our directive that this plan must be based on population ratio, not may, must. So I've narrowed it down, as I'm looking at all of these, to what is the fairest. We're always going to have some that are over, some that are under. But what gets everyone the closest? And I commend the staff for coming up with a great way to do that that most closely reflects that. What gets me is that I would like to see Clearwater have a proportion that is a little bit closer, more closely reflects its population. So I'm looking at that, and that's one of the reasons that I am supportive of the new alternative brought forward by Commissioner Eggers. Everything else on here, you can see pros and cons, but I think with Clearwater, that's kind of the tipping point for me on that one. And I appreciate that both of these options is giving Tarpon Springs the opportunity to have the seat at the table that they have over and over again tried to make an impassioned plea and a good case for that. So I think both are great and do what they're supposed to do, which is basis on the population. However, for these couple of reasons, I am today supportive of the new alternative by Commissioner Eggers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion. Oh, Commissioner Burke, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. It's hard to be seen while I'm waving. Just a quick comment. I also, like Mayor Will, submitted several alternative plans to Whit and the staff. I'm not opposed to Dave Eggers' plan. However, if it's we are supposed to be based on population in these numbers. So I would ask Commissioner Eggers to amend his motion to flip-flop Seminole and Safety Harbor or Seminole and Oldsmar. Since Seminole has more population than either of those two cities, we'd rather be in a 2-team than a 3-team, basically, since we have the numbers to support that. So if Commissioner Eggers' plan is going to move forward for a vote, I would ask that it's amended to move Seminole into a 2-spot grouping instead of a 3.
Commissioner Eggers, do you want to speak?
Yeah, no,
to the-
I'm very comfortable. Appreciate your thought on that, Mayor. I'm comfortable with the motion that's on the table. I think if you look down through all of them, in fact, the smaller cities are more in line, but still, in many cases, double the percent of vote versus percent of population. And we're still not at that level for the BCC, St. Petersburg, or Clearwater, but a heck of a lot closer. And I do think, again, we're going to have some dialogues going forward that are going to need this county-wide representation to give input to those representatives at the regional MPO. And I think the more people, the better. So I'm comfortable with this motion that's on the table.
Okay. So,
Pardon the interruption, just before we take a vote. It's Maria White, Assistant County Attorney. Could we just clarify the motion once more before we move to a vote?
I didn't hear the motion. I don't think we made it, did we?
The motion is the new alternative, which is alternative 3 plus the 4th St. Petersburg seat. Yeah. It's the one I made last time. It's the same one this time.
Second. Oh, it has? I didn't hear that.
Commissioner
Sorry.
Albert.
We do have
My
a-
apologies. I missed
We
all
do
that.
have citizen comments, I believe, on this item as well.
Oh, we do? Who
Yes,
is
ma'am.
that?
Mike Eisner from the city of Tarpon Springs.
Please come forward. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Mike Eisner from Tarpon Springs. I just wanted to come up here and thank you. I've been through all of these meetings, and I know just how hard this is for you to come to an agreement. I do want to thank Commissioner Eggers for his suggestion, and I also would like to thank everybody else who will go in favor of having more rather than less. And just thank you. I know it's not an easy decision to make, and Tarpon Springs appreciates any thought that you give towards allowing us to be part of this commission. So that's pretty much it. Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, so I do believe we are now in a posture to take our votes.
Yes, Madam Chair, would you like a roll call vote on this item?
Okay, we will. Commissioner Floyd? Commissioner?
Mayor Bujalski?
Yes.
Pat?
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Councilmember Muhammad?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Councilor Burke?
No.
Councilmember Buckman?
Yes.
Councilmember Driscoll?
Yes.
Mayor Will?
No.
Commissioner Eggers?
Yes.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anything else we need to discuss today, Whit?
You all did an amazing job. We had a good discussion. We have no further items on the agenda today.
All right, well, stay tuned, everybody, and thank you so much for your time and your interest and for being here today.
We will see what the governor says, and we will also alert all of the cities and local governments in Pinellas County about this decision today, and take any feedback or comments and include that in whatever we send to the governor.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.